When humans first arrived on the continent, they encountered a plethora of other species, many of which were aggressive creatures. In order to combat these monsters, scholars and mages developed methods of creating purpose-built monster slayers, dubbed witchers. Over the centuries, a number of schools were established to train witchers. Notable examples include the schools of the wolf, viper, and cat. Witcher training would need to begin at a very young age. Children were recruited from a variety of places, some being orphans, while others were given up by their parents, usually according to the law of surprise, where a witcher requests to be paid with something that the person did not know that they had. Training would begin with recruits voluntarily deciding to take part in physical training, so intense that many would not survive it, as well as following a specialized diet consisting of mutagenic mushrooms and plants. Surviving apprentices would then be subjected to a further series of trials, varying from school to school, but always culminating in the trial of the grasses, where they would be truly transformed into witchers. During this trial, apprentices were given a series of various mutagenic alchemical compounds. These concoctions were highly toxic, and only 3 in 10 apprentices are said to survive the trial. Survivors were left sterile, with mutated, cat-like eyes. However, the mutagens would grant them increased strength, speed, and a heightened sense of perception, as well as an extended lifespan and resistance to disease and toxins. The latter would allow witchers to consume potions to further augment their abilities that would be lethal to regular humans. Due to their extensive physical training, witchers were exceptionally proficient with most weapons. However, the primary focus was on swords. A witcher would usually carry 2 of these, a silver blade for slaying magical creatures, as well as a steel blade for regular species. Alongside this, witchers were able to utilize a simple kind of utilitarian magic in the form of signs. Lastly, perhaps the most iconic piece of a witcher's equipment was a magical medallion worn around the neck representing the school the witcher hailed from. These medallions were able to detect magic, alerting the witcher to the presence of magical creatures or other supernatural phenomena. Once training was complete, witchers would then roam the land, in their words, walking the path, essentially functioning as freelance monster hunters, offering their services to townsfolk in return for payment. While technically they could be described as mercenaries, many witchers followed a strict code of neutrality and would not engage in other races' conflicts and politics. Furthermore, witchers would often endeavor to protect the ecosystem, only killing creatures that threatened the balance of nature. Witchers proved to be an extremely efficient answer to the monster problems that humans faced, so efficient in fact that the number of monsters in the world dwindled to a point that humans no longer saw a need for them. With their inhuman appearance due to their mutations and general lack of emotion, witchers were met with fear and intolerance and were often treated as outcasts. An infamous piece of hate literature, titled Monstrum, was published, which further fueled people's fear and hatred of witchers. A notable example of the extent of this hatred occurred at the end of the 12th century, when an angry mob attacked the School of the Wolf at Kaer Morhen, massacring all who were present at the time. However, hostile creatures still roam the continent, and as such, despite being met with fear and hate, witchers continue to fill a vital role in society.